OK, bon, ben, on va commencer la réunion.
Let's begin the meeting. The city of Dieppe recognized that the land on which it operates is part of the unceded traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq. Our opening word, dear colleagues, let's have the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There are no announcements this evening, and so I call this meeting to order. We have quorum. Yes, Your Worship, we have quorum this evening. I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor. The only person absent is the Mayor. Let's move on. Conflict of interest. Councillor Godbout has a conflict with regard to 12.2. Let's move to the adoption of the agenda. Deputy Mayor, we would hope that Council allows us to add 11.7.1, and the title would be Authorization for Signature and Management of the Community Kitchen, Uniplex, Arthur G. LeBlanc. If the co-motioners are in agreement, it can be passed unanimously so that we can add it to the agenda. To pass the agenda, Councillor Lantang, seconded by Councillor Le Boutillier. With the addition of that item, are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor will signify by saying aye. Against, nay. Motion is carried. Let's move on now to presentations, inquiries and petitions. Inquiries by council members, Kodiak Regional RCMP. Good evening. Good evening to all of you. You have the floor, and then further questions by members. There was no follow-up from the last meeting, so I'll move directly into the community policing group. On November 22nd, several members proudly marched in the Royal Santa Claus Parade on Main and Champlain Streets. We were fortunate to have exceptional weather for the event. It was wonderful to see so many people and families cheering on the parade participants. On November 23rd, members of the Community Policing Unit attended the annual First Responders Game organized by the Moncton Wildcats at the Avenir Centre. During the game, our members set up a booth in the Arena Rotunda and took the opportunity to speak with residents and distributed RCMP promotional materials. Thank you to the Moncton Wildcats for the invitation. We were rewarded with a decisive 6-1 victory by the Wildcats. Once again this year, the Kodiak RCMP organized a Stuff the Cruiser event in all 3 municipalities. The Dieppe event took place on December 9th at the Sobeys on Paul Street in support of the Second Mile Food Bank. Kodiak RCMP is very proud to do everything it can to work with its partners to help those in need. Thank you to all the volunteers who give so much of their time and to everyone who made donations. In early 2026, we will launch a pilot project in downtown Moncton to address mental health concerns in partnership with the Vitalité and Horizon Health Networks. Each day, a regular member will be paired with a mental health professional and will patrol our region. This team, which will be an extension of the Mobile Crisis Unit, will proactively patrol our most problematic areas to make contact with individuals experiencing mental health issues. The model, known as CAR 67, has been extremely successful in the lower mainland of British Columbia. We have replicated the program here to adapt it to our local reality. I look forward to presenting more details about this initiative to Council at a later date. I'm proud to announce that the Kodiak RCMP will have a dedicated media relations officer. Captain Luc Picard was selected as our new MRO as of December 1st. Luc has been with Kodiak for several years, having worked in patrol and more recently in the community policing unit. He will receive training in early January 2026 and will transition into his new role. The goal is for the Kodiak RCMP to have its own social media presence so that we can post daily messages about our operations, community events, public safety concerns, and other topics. With regard to the crime reduction unit, a complaint was received by a concerned citizen regarding a social media post related to firearms. The Kodiak Crime Reduction Unit investigated, and on December 10th, CRU members, assisted by patrol, executed a search warrant under Section 11704 of the Criminal Code and seized 6 firearms. The Canada Border Services Agency collaborated with us, and to the person of interest being a truck driver who travels between Canada and the United States, officers from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security were also involved in the investigation. On November 27th, the CN police located on Humpyard Road, where various pieces of equipment valued over $10,000 were stolen. On December 9th, CN police reported a second break and enter at the workyard, during which power tools are valued at more than $13,000 were stolen. During the investigation, it was learned that some of the tools were equipped with GPS capabilities. On December 10th, investigators confirmed a signal from the stolen items at a residence on Savoy Drive, the address of unknown offender. On December 11th, members of the new property crime team of the Crime Reduction Unit executed a search warrant at the residence of the primary target. A 42-year-old man was arrested and several high-value tools stolen from the CN yard were recovered and seized. The subject was charged and remanded into custody. The Crime Reduction Group continues to conduct multiple open-air operations to counter public drug use. For a major crimes unit, charges have been laid against 1 woman and 4 men as part of an investigation related to the murders of Mr. and Mrs. Saunier, which occurred in Dieppe in 2019. As you're already aware, on September 7, 2019, the bodies of Bernard Saunier, age 28, and Rose Marie Saunier, age 74, were found in their residence on Amiro Street in Dieppe. The deaths were ruled homicides. On September 7, 2023, Jansen Brian Baker of Moncton was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The trial of Jansen Baker for the murders of Mr. and Mrs. Saunier will begin during the first week of January 2026. This is a judge and jury trial and is scheduled to last approximately 3 months. During the course of this investigation, police were able to establish that 5 individuals conspired to murder Sylvie Saunier, the son of Bernard and Rosemarie Saunier. On November 24, 2025, in the Provincial Court in Moncton, 5 individuals were charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Jansen Brian Baker, Jesse Todd Logue, Monique Alicia Boyer, Nicholas Daniel Bain, Christopher Allen Lennon. These 5 individuals appeared in Provincial Court in Moncton on December 1st at 9:30 a.m. and will return on January 5th, 2026. We observed exceptional cooperation throughout this investigation from various investigative and support agencies across New Brunswick. This file has been a priority for both the Kodiak Regional RCMP and the RCMP J Division as a whole. We continue to extend our sympathies to the family and friends of the deceased and hope that this news may provide some measure of comfort in the face of these horrific acts. With regard to patrol, on November 21st, our patrol members observed a vehicle in Moncton that had been reported stolen. However, the vehicle failed to stop for police. Members deployed various techniques in an attempt to locate and stop the vehicle, which was ultimately located and stopped on Fredericton Road in Salisbury. 3 individuals were arrested, 1 adult and 2 youths. Unfortunately, we continue to see the involvement of the same youths in vehicle thefts and dangerous driving activities in our region. During the evening of December 6, Mr. Joly himself, accompanied by patrol members, participated in an impaired driving operation. This operation resulted in the arrest of 5 impaired drivers in our region, in addition to locating another driver who was prohibited from driving. During the month of November, 70 tickets were issued in the Dieppe area. The most frequently issued offense was expired registration, followed by speeding. I also wanted to add that in January, the RCMP in New Brunswick will be wearing new uniforms, so our shirts will be no longer gray but blue, And so the public should be aware of this if they see a change in our uniform. This is a change which has been well received by all officers. We've been waiting for this change for a few years now. And lastly, I want to wish you all happy holidays to you, members of council and residents. I hope you'll all be safe on the roads. Thank you. Are there any questions by members of council?
Conseillère Godbout.
Councillor Godbout. Thank you. Thank you for your being here this evening. It's just a follow-up question about the quarterly report, which received on the indications of competency and skills that we have received for the RCMP. One of the documents was about road collisions, and we can really see a kind of heat map where many of these accidents are happening. And for the city of Dieppe, we also notice there is a true correlation between road infractions and collisions, either on Champlain or on Amido. Do you know what kind of accidents are happening there? Is there a better way of understanding what kind of accidents occur? Is it speed? Are they collisions? Are there common factors? Anything that the city can do or make recommendations about? We know that it's often speed which happens, but I'd be really interested because these are two spots where, 90% of the accidents are happening. So maybe we could follow this up in the coming year. Thank you. I don't have the answer, but I'll get back to you about this at the next time I'm here. Thank you. Councillor Turgeon. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have a question. The Car 67 initiative is a great initiative. When is it going to begin this project? We expect it to start in January. We have a vehicle ready, the two teams with the Vitalité and Horizon Networks. So it'll be in January. We are going to wait to appoint the person who's going to be involved. Are they working on the streets? Are they targeted interventions for persons? I'm looking for for those who are in need, also unhoused individuals as well. They will be sent to the hot zones where problems are being reported in the Kodiak region, and also they will be assisting police officers if they're answering calls where there are people in crisis. Thank you. I thank you for that. That's a great initiative. And you'll be reporting back on this in the new year. Thank you very much. Seeing no further questions, thank you for being here. And you're invited to stay with us. But if you must leave, then we certainly understand. Thank you. Let's move on now with the presentation of transfer of funds. Stéphane Thériault will be doing this presentation. Good evening, Deputy Mayor, councillors. This evening, we'll be talking about reserves transfers. We're doing this at the last meeting of the year. We're already here. So all transfers, as you know, from or to the reserve must go through your approval. So this evening, there will be 4 resolutions which will be presented. My role this evening is to go through these 4 resolutions that you're going to be looking at and show you what the contents of these reserves are. So firstly, we're talking about the general operating fund reserve. There are 2 reserves and is maximized at 5% of the preceding budget. The preceding budget in 2024 was $79 million. So 5% of that gives us a reserve of $3.94 million. What I'm suggesting to you this evening is to transfer $411,000 to maximize the 3.94 million. And what are we doing? There's a resolution for the purchase of salt. We took $100,000 out because we were short there with regard to snow removal. So what I'm suggesting is bring it back to the amount in reserve in case there are major snowstorms in 2025 or early in 2026. Also, there are things that we are should have happened as expenditures in 2025 because of lack of time or whatever. We asked to reserve to the reserve in order to use these funds next year. So that's what the $411,000 includes. We are not trans anything from the reserve. That's why the second amount is $0. The second one is the capital budget reserve. As you can see, is fairly high. There's no maximum, so there's about $30 million in that reserve currently. The first amount, the $6.8 million, is a transfer from the capital budget. I'm sorry, from the general operating budget, the capital budget. I've given you an idea of what this $6.8 million includes. $3 million for the replacement program, active management, asset management. It's a budget of $5 million. So we use $2 million this year. So we're transferring $3 million. So we continue to increase the pot, and that at the end of this presentation, I'll be asking you where we are with regard to asset management. Also, there's the operating capital. This is the money that we put into capital projects in the current year. We had a budget of $9 million. We used 6 of it, and so there's about 2.7 left, which we're going to put in the reserve in order to continue the projects that are currently underway and completed in 2026. And then there will be a request for a $700,000 transfer. This is for the estimated surplus of the 2025 budget. In other words, with regard to salaries and Kodiak Transpo, we projected to have buses on the roads in 2025. This did not happen. And so this budget creates a surplus. And so this surplus, we said, look, we've got room to transfer $700,000. What I'm looking at in the budget, though, is about $250,000 of a surplus. These are all estimates at this point. So the true figures we'll have in the early next year, maybe around March. But right now, with the estimates, I'm forecasting that we're good to transfer this amount into the reserve. There's also $400,000. This is the surplus carried over from 2023. In our financial plan, any surpluses has to be returned. And so 2 years after, so we put it in the budget of 2025 to be transferred into reserve. So we're at this stage. In order to transfer this surplus, we take half of it, we're putting it into assets, then we put the rest in non-committed of the general operating budget. The next amount, almost $13 million, is the amount we're asking to be reserved from the reserve to capital projects. These are, there were many this year, as you know. It's really what had established by way of these amounts. We forecasted these amounts when we did 2025 capital projects. Now that these projects have started, we're going to be taking to pay for these projects. For example, bus replacement, we had just mentioned that a moment ago. We bought 5, 3 in replacement, 2 new buses, 5 in all, 2.8 million in the reserve is going to be taken to pay for them. Their land purchases, 1.8 million. The 10 units that we're building along Belançon, $1.6 million came from the reserve, and so on and so on. So these are different projects that happened in 2025. The money was in reserve, and we're asking to take it out of the reserve now. $90,000 This is a capital gains that was created in the general capital budget after a sale. So there's a transfer into the reserve of that amount. That's it's with regard to capital budget, the $29.95 million. The third reserve is for water and sewers. As you can see, there is no reserve that is going in there or is coming out of the reserve. Essentially, it's maximized or almost maximized. The 2025 budget was $60 million. I'm sorry, 2024. So 5% of 16 is 800,000. In reality, we transferred 4,000 to top it up to 800,000. But next year, the budget of 2024, which was 60 million, is also the same budget in 2025 of $60 million. So the 40,000 that I left in, so next year it gives us room for interest, which will accumulate in the fund to hit that $800,000 mark. That's why I didn't maximize it out right away, knowing that I'll be needing it in 2026. Lastly, the last reserve is the capital budget for water and sewage. So what I said about the general operating fund applies here too. So we're talking 1.4 million to transfer from the operating budget for water and sewage to the reserve capital budget. This $310,000 replacement, the transfer to the reserve is the surplus. Oh, I see. I've got a small error. The surpluses are reversed. The surplus, estimated surplus is 2025 was more closer to $600,000. This is for the units the number of units which were added for water and sewage, not only for the meters, but also for fixed uh, residences and condos. So with regard to the meters, we have 400 more units, so it's about $500,000 in surplus, which we're asking to be put into the reserve. And lastly, is the estimated surplus for 2023, which was $200,000, which we are asking to be put into the reserve, the same way that the reserves or the surplus from 2025 is put into the general fund. For the 59,000, it's similar to the description I gave earlier from the general. That is, there was an increase of 59,000. We are asking it to be put into the reserve. This gain comes from the capital budget for water and sewage. And lastly, from the reserve fund to the capital budget fund, all the projects that happen during the year require this funding, so $1.1 million. And on this side, there were two projects in particular. Here we're talking about Champlain-Acadie. A great deal of work was done for water mains and the water mains along Gauvin Road as well of $700,000. So to conclude, almost concluded, but the last two reserves, the contents of these reserves with regard to the uh, operating budget, outstanding general operating budget, we have strategized to have them at 5%. And within, we're talking about asset management, unforeseen to come. I talked about snow a moment ago. This is part of the $1.1 million. Operational expenses 2025, which we set forward, 200,000 generally for the general fund, almost nothing for water and sewage. The one-time charges also set back. We had almost $2 million worth of these costs, and there's about $1 million that was spent. There's 900,000 left. This is in the reserve and can be used in 2026. And lastly, we're talking about other one-time expenditures in 2026 authorized lately in the budget that we just authorized previously, $1.2 million for general, and I think it was maybe 30,000 because we're talking about millions for water and sewage. So this is the total reserves for general operating and water and sewage. And this is the last slide. we're at $35.6 million for the capital budget. Asset management, 8.7 million. And year after year, this is where we really increase the amounts. And it's all part of the strategy here because the city is still a fairly young city. The bulk of its assets to be replaced will be done in 2030, 2040. So we're building these reserves right now in order to use them in those coming years. With regard to capital budget that are not yet underway, $2.7 million are looking at the market. We put $1 million aside 3 or 4 years ago. It hadn't yet been used, and so it's at $2.7 million now. With regard to capital budgets underway, there are $11.4 million worth of projects underway that will continue into next year. And water and sewage, there are none, 1.5 million, sorry. And capital budget projects in 2026 because we authorized the 2026 budget as a source of financing for these projects. Clearly, there were some operations, there were subsidies and loans from the reserve, and this is what I'm giving you right now. So 4.1 million comes from the general reserve, and it's not a big amount for water and sewage. And then this is what is left at the end of it all to do things in 2026 in case something happens. It could be road work, it could be buildings that cost a little bit more. So these are the amounts that we can draw from. It could be other things as well. And so land purchases that might come up at the last minute, whatever it is, these are not committed funds. So we have a reserve of $3 million under general and 1.1 million under water and sewage. That concludes my presentation. Mr. Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Are there any questions by council members? Seeing none, thank you for your work. Well done. You've properly managed funding today. You have a vision for the future as well. Thank you. Let's move on now to questions by members of public. Does anyone here want to ask questions? You may go to the microphone.
Joyeux Noël and bonne année, tout le monde.
Hello, welcome. Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm Phil Evans. I'm a resident of Dieppe, Saint-Quentin, but my French is not very great.
No, after 50 years, you think I would have picked up something. I'm here on it's about a relatively trivial matter, a dip in the road. The dip in the road that I'm talking about is the dip in the road that is cut across Route 6, right by the car wash, between the car wash on what used to be the Busy Bee. I came actually to a meeting at the beginning of summer, but unfortunately came in a little bit late and wasn't able to put my question to the council at that time. But I did speak to the town engineer. And the question I have is this. Route 6, across the marsh, we, town council, and me as a taxpayer, spent an awful lot of money doing an excellent job on mitigating the problems with that road going across the marsh. It stood the test of time. Now, an apartment building that is going up behind the car wash required a cut across the road to put in water, sewerage, whatever it was. However, the day that it was repaired, there was a dip in the road. The question I have, or the council and or the engineering department is, my vehicle is going to need suspension probably after the next inspection. So the question I have is, should I wait to get it done because that dip is going to be repaired, or should I go ahead and do it now because it isn't going to be repaired? Thank you.
I would ask the director of the engineering department, Marc-André, to reply to the question. If you may put the microphone on, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So that dip, there will be another layer of asphalt placed on it. So for the time being, it's just based asphalt. So they did put it to the top. There was a bit of settlement. So eventually they will place some seal on it, but I'll have to double check and see exactly when it's going to go ahead with the placement of the seal asphalt.
Okay, so you have reassured me that it will be repaired correctly?
Yeah.
Because the problem I have is that was an excellent road. It is an excellent road. And people here will remember when that road, in fact, was a death trap. In fact, one of our deputy firemen actually rescued a lady and her baby from the creek that goes down through and across the marsh. So because of that, and the fact that the person that's built this apartment building is going to be making a large profit from it over the period, I think that they should certainly make an effort to repair that road correctly and put their money back into our wonderful community, because we do have a great city here. Thank you.
Just to add that the developer has the responsibility to repair the sidewalk and repair the asphalt, the last layer of asphalt. So that will be in the process. Now I'm guessing that plants are closed for the season, asphalt plants, so it will be done during the spring next year.
Okay, thank you. And I just will bring up one other thing. Unfortunately, the RCMP was left, but we have a tremendous increase in population in Dieppe over the last 10, maybe 5 years, certainly. I hope this council has the willingness to increase the budget for the RCMP in our city to keep it the safe place that it has always been, the murder that we've just heard about notwithstanding. Neighbors of ours, by the way. So I hope that we will be looking seriously at increasing the budget for the RCMP for the explosion of new citizens we have in Dieppe.
So we've had, Mr. Deputy Mayor, if I may, and our treasurer is there if we need to have more specific information, but we've authorized the 3 cities because this is an organization, police authority, that it represents the 3 cities, Dieppe, Moncton, and Riverview. So we have invested in the last 3 years many millions with new officers. So, and here we're talking about 50 to 60 new officers that were hired in the last 3 to 4 years. This year, there will not be any new officers being hired because of many reasons, but 2 of them is that they need to fill the position not filled yet. And the second element is they'll be moving in their new police station in 2026. So that's a 3 to 6 month process. So we will be working certainly with the police authority for budget 2027 and see what's the justification, which will be brought forward by them to demonstrate if we need new officers and in which field they need to be invested also. So that's the process that we've asked them to do in 2026 to be to have a better information and decision to invest in the right place with the police authority.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And I really say I'm glad I moved here 50 years ago and I haven't regretted it yet. Thank you.
Councillor Godbout wants to talk.
I just want to add something too. Thank you. And listen, I'm the representative on the Kodiak Regional Police Authority. So exactly with regards to investments in policing. And I would say, just to give you the round numbers too, 2 years ago, we invested about 29% collectively increase in policing in order to do some catch up that needed to be done. Another 12% happening this year, a new building. The issue now, and really where the focus of this council has been, is to make sure that we don't make the mistake of thinking that more policing necessarily is always the answer and increase is the answer, and making sure we now put the money at the right place. And so this year we approved, 17 officers in the last year. They're only just coming into place this year. So now we're going to get the benefit of the data, what those 17 can bring, and how also what's wonderful to see, and I do wish that the RCMP was here to hear it again. I've said it to them before. We're seeing them already because we've put in place some new key performance indicators that are in place. We're getting better data. The RCMP are using that data, and we're seeing them adapting their operational plan every year in order to better place the policing. And then it's up really to us too to say, well, what else can we do outside of policing to try and support that? So I think there's some really good thinking going on. And so thank you for making the point and giving us the opportunity to tell you about it, because I think it's really important that we place the dollars that we have in the right place so that we can keep the tax rate to the reasonable amount that we do.
Well, Madame Godbout, thank you so much for clarifying that. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question and comment. And I wish you happy holidays too.
Merci beaucoup. Okay.
OK, y avait-il des questions par téléphone ou...
No,
Are
on
there
n'a
any
rien reçu.
questions by phone? No, we didn't receive anything.
Point
Alors, on
numéro
passe.
10, pardon, l'adoption du procès verbal.
Item 10 now, adoption of minutes. So 10.1, regular council meeting held on November 24th, 2025.
La conseillère Leboutier.
Seconded, moved by Brideau, seconded by Leboutier. Are there any questions? Any changes? Not seeing any. Let's vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Moving on to 11.1, administration. Yes, so every once in a while, we make directives adopted at closed meetings public. So we'll be doing 4 of those tonight. The first directive that we're ratifying tonight is a development agreement with developer 725026 NB Inc. This is the entity that did the development on Principal West Avenue. So it involved buying land and adding a sidewalk and parking. Staff felt that there was a benefit having street side parking, or that it would benefit stores nearby. It would also benefit the apartment block. So that was the first directive that's the first directive that I'm making public this evening. The second one involved an assignment agreement with Land Max Developments, or rather Max Developments. Sorry. So the new entity is now called Diamond Storage Solutions, and so that agreement is now being made public. The third directive involves assigning authority and agreements with the RCMP. So there is rented space in the Fire Hall 1 on Gauvin. The lease had expired or came due. And the lease was signed by both parties, so we're making that public. And then the fourth directive has to do with an agreement for alternative compliance with the tree bylaw. So it was an agreement between the owner and the city for remediation of a situation where the owner was not in compliance with the tree bylaw. And if that agreement is not respected, then other measures will be taken. So those are the 4 directives that I wanted to present. Thank you. Who would like to read the proposals? Councillor Jeannet? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. That Council ratify the directives adopted at closed meetings of Council concerning the following topics. 1, ratification, development agreement, Principal West Avenue, adopted July 14th, 2025. 2, assignment agreement, PID 705-06399, Max Developments, Inc., adopted September 8th, 2025. 3, signing authority, agreements, RCMP, adopted November 10th, 2025. And 4, agreement for alternative compliance with tree bylaw, adopted November 24th, 2025. I so move. Moved by Councillor Jeannet, seconded by Councillor Lantin. Any questions? Seeing none, let's go to a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 11.2, all of the explanations were presented by our treasurer. So we'll be looking for somebody to read the resolutions for the next 5. Okay, so the first one, transfer funds, general operating reserve fund. Who would like to read that? Councillor Lebouty, please. That Council authorize a transfer in the amount of $411,000 from the general operating fund to the general operating reserve fund. I so move. Moved by Councillor Lebouty, seconded by Councillor Brideau. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Second transfer, transfer funds, general capital reserve fund. Who would like to read that? I can continue. Oh, you want to continue? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Lebouty. That Council authorize a transfer in the amount of $6.8 million from the general operating fund to the general capital reserve fund. That Council authorize a transfer in the amount of $12,994,000 from the general capital reserve fund to the general capital fund. And that Council authorize a transfer in the amount of $90,000 from the general capital fund to the general capital reserve fund. I so move. Moved by Councillor Lebouty, seconded by Councillor Lantin. Seeing no questions on the question, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. The next one. That Council authorize a transfer in the amount of $1,461,000 from the Water and Wastewater Disposal Operating Fund to the Water and Wastewater Disposal Capital Reserve Fund. That Council authorize a transfer in the amount of $59,000 from the Water and Wastewater Disposal Capital Fund to the Water and Wastewater Disposal Capital Reserve Fund. That Council authorize a transfer in the amount of $1,134,000 from the Water and Wastewater Disposal Capital Reserve Fund to the Water and Wastewater Disposal Capital Fund. I so move. Moved by Councillor Lebouty and seconded still by Councillor Lantin. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now the next one, commitments, various reserve funds. Would you like to continue, Councillor Lebouty? You go ahead, Marc. I'll let you do that. Councillor Lantin.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire adjoint.
Thank you, your Deputy Mayor. that Council authorize the following commitments from the following reserve funds. General Operating Reserve Fund account number 7/4/2012/8910. 1. Unforeseen expenditures, example emergency measures, snow removal, $290,000. 2. Affordable housing, $582,000. 3. Information technology, various software, $53,000. 4. Asset management program, buildings, $310,000. 5. Asset management program, IT, $181,000. 6. Stabilization reserve, $132,000. 7. Clerk's office, software maintenance, Laserfish, $42,000. 8. Insurance. Did I skip one? No. So 8. Insurance potential claims, 25,000. 9. Operating expenditures postponed to 2026. A. Recreation Francophone event, 145,000. B. Urban mobility consulting services, 15,000. C. Municipal performance continuous improvement, 25,000. D. Environment tree planting, 66,000. 10. 2025 one-time expenditures postponed to 2026. A. Planning and development, urban growth strategy and secondary plan, 80,000. B. Administration and market study, Dieppe market, 100,000. C. Administration Francophone initiative, 100,000. D. Public Works Consulting Needs Analysis Operations Center, 75,000. E. Urban Mobility Infrastructure New Transit Stops, 15,000. F. Heritage Tour Year 1 of 2, 10,000. G. Heritage Municipality 75th Anniversary Book, 10,000. H. Recreation Recognition Wall, Uniplex, 50,000. I. Engineering Traffic Study, Champlain Street, 100,000. J. Environment Ecological Network Study, Year of 1 of 2, 36,000. K. Environment Urban Forest Management Plan, 15,000. L. Environment Sustainable Development Plan, Ecological Transition, 60,000. M. IT Consulting, 2025 various projects, 110,000. N. Building improvement, City Hall and furniture, 90,000. 11. 2026 one-time expenditures. A. Buildings, City Hall, stairs near the fountain, 50,000. B. Buildings, warehouse, city archives, library room, 50,000. C. IT consulting, strategic plan development, 95,000. D. Finance consulting, asset management, 50,000. E. 5. First due software replacement for crisis, 51,000. F. Forest firefighting suits, $46,000. G. Public Works Digital Twins, 102,000. H. Communications Internet New Platform Migration, 15,000. 1. Communications Welcome Sign Highways, 110,000. J. Communications Lighting City Hall, 100,000. K. Communications Francophone Consulting Year of 2 of 3, 125,000. L. Immigration Annual Analysis and Estimate Francophone Immigration, 21. M. Immigration Implementation Immigration Strategy, 5,000. N. Heritage Tour Year 2 of 2, 8,000. Heritage Purchase and Installation of Signs at Facilities, 45,000. P. Legal Ongoing litigation costs, 100,000. Q. Environment Ecological Network Study Year 2 of 2, 50,000. R. Planning and Development Municipal Development Planning Zoning Bylaws, 200,000. Total, 3,940,000. Water and Wastewater Disposal Operating Reserve Fund account year 7/4/2012/8930. 1. Stabilization Reserve, 441,000. 2. Asset Management Program, IT, 92,000. 3. Potential claims, 25,000. 4. In IT, unforeseen expenditures, 11,000. 5. Clerk's office, records management software, 10,000. 6. 2025 one-time expenditures postponed to 2026. A. Airport pumping station pump conversion, 40,000. B. Recorder replacement, level of monitoring walls, 30,000. 7. 2026 one-time expenditures. A. IT consulting, 2025 various projects, 45,000. B. Assessment, well commissioning, water source, 62,000. Total of 756,000. General Capital Reserve Fund, account number 7/4/2012/8920. 1. Asset Management Program, 8,705,000. 2. Pending capital projects, 2,701,000. 3. Current capital projects, 11,425,000. 4. Capital projects, 2026 financing, 4.1 million. 5. Capital projects uncommitted, $3,015,000. Total, 29,946,000. And Water and Wastewater Disposal Capital Reserve Fund, account number 7/4/2012 8940. 1, asset management program, 2,241,000. 2, pending capital projects, 755,000. 3, current capital projects, 1,471,000. 4, capital projects, 226, financing 0. 5, capital projects uncommitted, 1,147,000 for a total of 5,614,000. I so move. Moved by Councillor Lanting, seconded by Councillor Brideau.
Pas de questions? Alors,
Seeing
on
no
va passer au vote.
questions. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Brideau. Opposed? Carried. Mr. Thériault, I think your presentations were very clear. There were no questions, so it went very quickly. Moving on to item 11.2.5. Just as an explanation before we proceed to the resolution, with the province's fiscal reform, there was a new program that was implemented to help municipalities in terms of capital renewal. So it's called the CRP, or CRF rather. Each municipality has to adopt a plan for the next 4 years to present to the province, involving the sound management of their assets. And the first step is to create an inventory. So what you have here is a program that was prepared by staff for 2026 to 2029 that clearly outlines what the projects are. The one we identify what the assets that need to be renewed, mainly for road work, but it can also involve the municipal fleet and buildings. You have all the information you need in the memo, and we just need a resolution supporting that program so that we can submit it officially as of tomorrow, and so that we can get the funding in 2026. Who would like to read the resolution? Councillor Godet, please. Thank you. That council authorize the City of Dieppe 2026-2029 capital renewal plan for the capital renewal funding allocation. I so move. Moved by Councillor Godet, seconded by Councillor Jeannet. Any questions?
Conseiller Brideau.
Councillor Brideau. Oh, I was going to read it. Councillor Godbout. When I look at the description of the program, there's a number of objectives. Growing pressure, growing inflation, population increase, and then you have aging infrastructure. The plan seems to put a lot of emphasis on renewing existing infrastructure, but given we don't talk, it doesn't talk about creating new infrastructure. Could that be a problem later on when we want to apply? Could we apply for new infrastructure? Or did you put the emphasis there where the funding is needed? No, that's a good question, Councillor Godbout. We think that this is the best way to invest the money, and it fits in with our capital investment plan as well. So we looked at all the projects that are on our list for the next 5 years. This program focuses especially on existing infrastructure. The province put a lot of emphasis on that because that's the municipal associations said that they weren't able to deal with aging infrastructure. So that's where we put a priority. Now we're finalizing our growth strategy as well, and that will allow us to make decisions regarding our future development. And it'll help us deal with the extension of Dieppe Boulevard, and that will be an additional element. But for now, we think that these are the investments that are needed right now. Well, based on the experience that I have with programs, it'd be interesting, and I see that these are estimates anyways, but maybe we could put in, we could mention, given the anticipated future growth, we can kind of indicate the probability that we'll need more, especially, that this goes until 2029, but we can say that, with the growth that we're experiencing, we expect to have so much more to build. Just an idea that I'm throwing out there. We can indicate that we don't know yet what's going to happen, but we know that we will have to do things. And that will kind of highlight the fact that we're strong planners. Or maybe it could be included in a note when you include the application or when you submit the application. This is a new program as well, so. But if I take the designated road program, that has to be renewed every year. So it allows us to revise things. In this case, I don't know if that'll be the case. I don't know if this program will be renewed, but if there is an opportunity in the future, we might be able to correct things in the future or revise things, revisit things. Any other questions? All right. On the question, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 8.3.1 acceptance immigration strategy. Well, you'll remember that over the past year, there a lot of work into an immigration strategy by staff and by the department, Emilie Haché, and with a consulting firm. There was a presentation made to council not long ago. And so tonight, we're asking you to accept the tabling of this strategy, and that staff use this document as a reference to come up with an action plan and to design initiatives geared to immigration. So that is for your consideration this evening. Who would like to read it? Councillor Jeannet, please. Thank you, Your Worship. Deputy Worship, rather. That Council accept the strategy entitled City of Dieppe 2026 to 2030 Immigration Strategy. I so move. Moved by Councillor Jeannet, seconded by Councillor Lantagne. Any questions? Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Oui, alors ici,
budget transfer. As you know, we have the budget transfer and improvement of Champlain Street and Acadie Avenue, which integrates the reconstruction of Saint-Laurent Street. So you have in front of you a request for the transfer to a budget which went more quickly in some aspects. So we have a budget over 2 years. So water and sewage, we have done a little bit more, or wastewater management, we've done a little bit more. We'll save for next year, but it means more costs for 2025. What we're putting forward here is a request to transfer the missing amount from the reserve to pay for costs in 2025 and the budget in place and passed for 2026, which allows us to recover this and implement the funding taken for 2025. So the total has not changed. We only went a little more quickly for some aspects. 2026, the amount will be put back into effect when we approve the budget. So this is for your approval in order to be able to disperse these amounts. Councillor Brideau to do the reading. Mr. Deputy Mayor, the Council authorized a budget transfer in the amount of $315,000 from the account number 4-3-90-58-7660, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Reconstruction, Gauvin Road, to account 4-3-90-58-7669, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Improvements, Champlain Acadie. I so move, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Turgeon-Roy. Any questions? Hearing none, let's vote. All those in favor will say aye. Against, nay. Carried. The next item is the Acceptance Development Charges Principles Framework. This file was presented during a public meeting of Policy and Strategy. It was put forward to request that it involved more than one developer. There be a mechanism in place in order to recover from the area the services will cover. So during the course of this presentation, the team, along with Marc-André, also heard you make some comments. You have all the information required to make this decision, to agree to and proceed then with your approval to develop a bylaw on development charges. For right now, you're accepting the report that you have in front of you, and this will give us an opportunity, framework to move on to the next step. So this is tonight's recommendation. For reading, Councillor Turgeon-Roy. Thank you. The Council accept the report entitled Cadre des principes des redevances d'aménagement, which will serve for the development of a municipal bylaw on development charges. I so move, Deputy Mayor. Moved by Councillor Turgeon-Roy, seconded by Councillor Godette. Are there any questions?
Conseillère Godbout.
Councillor Godbout. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I must admit that I am aware of the document, but I have not assimilated the whole document to understand it. After the weekend, we got the documents, and the weekend I have no problem receiving the report tonight because you've established it. But in this case, what is the period of time it's going to take to come up with a bylaw so that I can assimilate this material to see if I have any questions? At the time when the topic was spent the first time, we talked about different options, the different ways of doing things, because in this report, I don't think we've looked at all the options. We're looking at proposing which one. So I have questions, and I'm sure you have answered, but I haven't had time to formulate my questions properly. So between the tabling of the report and the bylaw draft, which will happen, will there be an opportunity to ask questions? And how quickly will this be done? What's the timing? This evening, if Council passes the adoption of the report, we'll be working with this document. Then we'll move on to drafting a bylaw. I'm not sure where we're at in that process, but as usual, we give you notice that the project has been developed. We provide it at a meeting, and then normally we have 2 meetings in order to bring forward comments or queries or changes if needed. In the next week, I'll be reading it. I'll be assimilating it very quickly. And if there are any questions, I don't think I don't have any showstoppers, but there were still some questions that I had wanted to put forward. Gérard might have some clarifications. Is he on the mic? Alexandre, I simply want to add about this point that through the passing of such a bylaw, a development charges bylaw, it's higher than a typical bylaw. There's a public hearing that must happen. Notices of motion must also happen. So it might be a question, not just drafting a bylaw, it's a strategic path to follow. The council is called upon to pass the framework in order to give us an opportunity to think about the type of draft framework that we want to put, or draft bylaw that we want to put forward. Thank you. I thought it was something fairly important that I wanted to assimilate, and so if I have any questions, I will certainly bring them forward as quickly as I can. Councillor Genet. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just some quick questions, generally speaking, about this report. Will this limit urban spread, that kind of thing?
Le cadre stratégique qui est présenté ici.
The framework that has been put forward here refers to the type of elements that the municipality can recover costs for. With regard to urban spread, deals with the zoning bylaw more, where we have an urban boundary or perimeter. So I would say that the strategic framework as passed today and a subsequent bylaw on development charge deal with recovering development costs. Will it have an impact on the affordability of various types of housing that are built after this? If there's cost sharing, could this possibly have an impact? This becomes very hypothetical, this whole question of recovering costs. But what's interesting here is that once the development charges bylaw is presented for adopting, the estimated cost will be presented to council, and we will have the unit amount additional for each housing unit. It has to be reimbursed to the municipality. And so with regard to affordability, all of this will be taken into consideration once the bylaw has been tabled. Thank you very much. Any further questions? Let's move on to the vote. All those in favor will say aye. Against, nay. Carried. Now let's move on to appointments. With regard to the Planning Advisory Committee, there were 2 positions to fill or renew. So our recommendation is that Madame Claudette Leblanc be renewed for a 1-year term. She has agreed to sit for another 12 months on this committee, and Guy-Marie Blanchard be appointed for a period of 2 years until December 31st, 2027. These names were also on the wait list, so this is what is being recommended by staff. Thank you. To read the motion, Councillor Godette. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. That Council appoint the following persons to the Planning Advisory Committee. Claudette Leblanc, renewal term ending December 31, 2026. And Guy-Marie Blanchard with a term ending December 31, 2027. I so move. Moved by Councillor Godette. Seconded by Councillor Turgeon-Roy. Are there any questions? Hearing none, let's vote. All those in favor will say aye. Against, nay. Carried. Dieppe Public Library Board. You have the names in front of you. There are 5 individuals who are interested in sitting on the library board for Dieppe. You have the names and the dates of the term endings. This committee is in a renewal period, so it's a great piece of news that 5 people are interested and available to become involved. We never say no to volunteers like that, so I'll allow you to read the motion so we can officialize these names. Councillor Turgeon-Roy? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. That council appoint the following persons to the Dieppe Public Library Board. Hélène Guéret, term ending on December 11, 2027. Oscar Duguay, term ending December 11, 2027. Riham Al-Khalaf, term ending December 11, 2028. Monique Boudreau, term ending on December 11, 2028. Sandrine Alarish, term ending on December 11, 2028. I so move, Deputy Mayor. Moved by Councillor Turgeon-Roy, seconded by Councillor Lantagne. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. All those in favor will say aye. Against, nay. Carried. Heritage and Partnerships, lease renewal, Dieppe Bodybuilding Club. Here we have a building which belongs to the city of Dieppe, was built in 1947. The province purchased it in 1949. In 1970, the province sold the building to the Chartersville village. So this building has been around for a long time in Dieppe. When we brought the villages together in the 70s, there was a school there at the time, and after the city started to rent out the building to the Dieppe Bodybuilding Club. The club is the same club that has been around and uses this space with an agreement that has been in place, which covers all costs attached to its operation and existence of this building, and a little bit more, in fact. We're comfortable in renewing this lease. We're renewing with some adjustments to the insurance coverage, among other things, an amount of $5 million, a 3-year agreement with an exit clause possible. It allows us to be present. We have a building close by, which is a pumping station. So there's a bit of activity around there and non-costly to us oversight. So it's an advantage to us. And so at the end of it, there's no cost to the city. They do the maintenance and upkeep, and they really look after the building. So we recommend proceeding with the renewal of the lease. And if we ever need to get the location for the land, we always have the option of notice of exit of the building. But we're recommending that we continue the lease. To read it, Councillor Godet. Thank you, Your Worship, or Your Deputy Mayor. That Council authorized the municipal signing officers to sign the renewal of lease with the Club de Culturisme de Dieppe in regard to the property located at 429 Amiro Street. I so move. Moved by Councillor Godet. Seconded by Councillor Le Boutillier. And so, are there any questions? Councillor Turgeon-Roy. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I was surprised to read that it was a small village school in Chartersville. I was wondering if it was a building that might possibly be recognized in our heritage moments. Pauline's here, so I'm going to ask her the question. Because we have a 3 to 5 year lease term, we have some renovations to do, maybe we might consider. Well, the building, they had changed the fencing in 2020, and they changed the roof then. So there's some work that needs to be done in 2027. So it's part of the heritage circuit, because the circuit is will be for the 5 villages. So clearly, this school will be part of that as well. You have pictures of that period of time with the school? I'm looking for them. So let's put out a call. You can tell by going in that it was a small school. I imagined it. Yes. Sure, it's logical, just the entry itself. Thank you.
Councillor Leboutier. Just a question, an information question. In the package that we received, in part 1, where they talks about the liability of the city, or the responsibility of the city. City is responsible for things like electricity and water. You were saying that they covered all the expenses, but in the previous agreement, we would bill them those expenses, but instead of sending monthly bills, it'll be part of the lease. All right, thank you. Any further questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 11.7.1, this was the item that was added. So you have before you a recommendation. The agreement with the food provider at the Uniplex had expired. So we we launched a tender looking for people who would be interested in offering the service. And following that tender, we received no bids. There was lots of interest, but so the second stage is a recommendation for an entity that is willing to provide the service, both at the Uniplex and at the Arthur Gilles Leblanc Center. So this is a recommendation that we're doing. It involves In Good Hands Family Services. And I can tell you that the name of the location will be presented at a later time. So the entity will announce the name in due time. We will allow the entity as well to continue to get the site ready for providing the service. So this is what we're proposing. Who would like to read the resolution? Councillor Brideau, please. That Council direct the administration to proceed with the signing of an agreement with In Good Hands Family Services, Inc. for the delivery of food and beverage services at the Uniplex and the Arthur Gilles Leblanc Center, as well as the management of the Uniplex Community Kitchen, in accordance with the terms of the agreement and the principles set out in the memorandum dated December 2nd, 2025. I so move. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Jeannet. Any questions? Seeing no questions, All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 12.1, Bylaw Z9, 2017-13. So Councillor Godbout will be removing herself from, will be leaving the room for the next two items, and we'll just wait for her to leave. So these two bylaws are, we're at the stage that we're at is reading in its entirety and then third reading by title only. This is the bylaw that amends the municipal development plan for accessory dwellings R1 and R2 zones. So once these readings are done, we will be able to go ahead with the changes. Councillor Turgeon-Roy, please. Thank you, Your Worship, or Deputy Mayor. Bylaw Z-9, 2017-13, a bylaw to amend a bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan. The Council of the City of Dieppe, under the authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 19, enacts as follows. The bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan, being Bylaw Z-9, 2017, enacted on the 11th day of September 2017 and filed in the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 37538742 on November 3rd, 2017, is hereby amended as follows. 1. Section 6.1, under the heading Residential Areas, is amended. A. By repealing Policy 2, under heading Residential Density, and by changing the numbering of policies 3 to 15 to policies 2 to 14 respectively. And B, by adding the following after policy 14. Gentle densification. Policy 15. It shall be a policy of council to recognize the evolving and diverse nature of housing needs and to respond by enabling gentle densification in existing residential areas through the addition of up to 3 accessory dwelling units to single unit dwellings. Policy 16. It shall be a policy of council to ensure the harmonious integration of accessory dwelling units within residential neighborhoods. Proposal 2. It is proposed that council establish and maintain clear requirements for the addition of accessory dwelling units to regulate gentle densification and ensure predictability in the built environment and parking infrastructure. I so move by first reading by title, moved by Councillor Turgeon-Roy, seconded by Councillor Jeannet. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. We move now to third reading by title only. Bylaw Z-9, 2017-13, a bylaw to amend a bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan. I so move in third reading by title only. Moved by Councillor Turgeon-Roy, seconded by Councillor Jeannet. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Bylaw Z-10, 2021-15. We will be proceeding by a summary reading, since this bylaw is a bit longer. Who would like to read it? Councillor Jeannet, please. Thank you, Your Worship. Deputy Mayor, sorry. Bylaw Z-10, 2021-15, bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. The Council of the City of Dieppe, under the authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 19 enacts as follows. In 2023, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, launched the Housing Accelerator Fund, HAF program, which provides funding to municipalities to implement initiatives aimed at facilitating housing development. As part of that program, the City of Dieppe signed an agreement with CMHC and committed to implementing various initiatives to encourage housing construction. One of the conditions for obtaining funding is to permit up to 4 housing units in residential areas. In this context, the proposed amendments set out in Bylaw Z10 2021-15 are intended to regulate and guide this gentle densification. They involve the introduction of specific conditions and provisions into zoning bylaw Z10 2021, particularly with respect to permit issuance criteria, lot sizes, property line setbacks, maximum size limits for accessory buildings, or dwellings rather, parking requirements, and architectural design standards. The objective is to provide a framework for the harmonious integration of new accessory dwellings into existing homes without altering the character of the built environment in R1 and R2 zones. I so move by summary reading. Seconded by Councillor Brideau. Seeing no questions, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have to do the third reading by title only before we go get Councillor Goodboe. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we're past that. All right. Please do the Councillor Jeannet, could you please do the third reading by title? Bylaw Z 10 2021-15, bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. I so move in third reading by title only. Moved by Councillor Jeannet, seconded by Councillor Brideau. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Against? Carried.
Alors, on passe au numéro 13.
Moving on to item 13, 13.1, notice of motions. I'm wondering if there's a councillor who would like to read the notice of motion, so then we can add it. So we can add it to the agenda for the December meeting, or January reading rather. I give notice that bylaw C-1 2025-1 involving traffic and parking in the City of Dieppe will be introduced at a future meeting of council for first and second reading.
Avant de passer au numéro 14 de
All right, before we go to item 14, I would like to take this time to congratulate staff and councillors for the great work that was done in 2025. And I want to take the opportunity as well to wish everyone happy holidays, to all my colleagues, employees, residents. And if you have to travel, be careful. Let's start with Councillor Godette.
Adjoint, pas dire que je voulais dire, mais je vais le dire pareil. J'aimerais souhaiter joyeux Noël à tous les résidents de Dieppe, les employés.
I would like to wish everyone happy holidays in 2026. That's all for me. Councillor Leboutier. Same thing for me. I want to wish happy holidays and happy new year to all our residents, to all staff and families. And this is the time to rest and to get ready for 2026. Our entrepreneurs, our strategic partner, everyone, my counselors or my colleagues as well. I just want to wish everyone to, and I think our residents, I invite our residents and residents of the city to think of people who are alone.
Madame Genet.
That's it for me. Thank you. Councillor Genet. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have a question about communications. We see things are moving along well. Videos, Samuel is more popular, but the immigration strategy, I was wondering, I think we're also on TikTok. Are there other ways that we might have thought about communicating information regarding activities? I know that people are WhatsApp, they like to have groups. The administrator will publish various information on their WhatsApp and people can subscribe to it. I wonder if that's been looked at or we're thinking about it in order to share activities to the WhatsApp social media. From what I've understood from knowing many international students, that they're bored and they're not sure where to look. They're not used to our traditional networks like Facebook or even going to the website of the city. But if there was a WhatsApp group like this, they would be, or even on TikTok, they're looking for videos showing what's going on in the cities. They're not necessarily finding the information about how to move out and about into the community. So I'd like an update on that. Thank you for the question. For this application, specifically, no, we haven't thought about it. We're looking at the more popular ones, given the time it requires for each of those platforms. Having said this, we're looking at our editorial strategy in the coming months, and this is something that we could certainly think about for sure. Thank you very much. Also, I'll do the same as others. I wish everyone very happy holidays. I wish you a lovely time, happy holidays. And to our residents, our employees, to councillors, to our mayor and deputy mayor. And we'll see you in 2026. Councillor Brideau. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I want to say thank you to all our staff, all our employees for the great work that you do. And this is each of you individually that I'm looking at in front of me. The work that we do in this, that you're doing in the city, and I hear compliments about the council. Well, it's not us. I know I'm good, but the good work is done by our employees. And so I send that back to you with a whole heart. I also want to say, for those who are listening to us, I'd like to thank you and the people in my area who supported me over the year. I had a difficult year. I also got support from my colleagues here on council. And so I will say Merry Christmas to you, to all of you. Happy New Year. Councillor Turgeon-Roy. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm not going to repeat everything. I certainly want to wish everyone happy holidays, and my thanks are extended to other employees. But I thought I'd understood that we have a new playlist, Flico, for what do we what's it titled? Frico Franco for the holidays. So let's rest up well during the holidays and listen to that playlist. Sam is very popular with the city of Dieppe, even more and more, but there are some great initiatives currently underway thanks to the communications team. And I wanted to underline Frico Franco. And so that's it. So listen to it, rest up, and I wish you a lovely year, and we'll see you in 2026. Councillor Godbout. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. An item I wanted to share with Council and residents is that since our meeting on November 20th, I've been to 2 public meetings and 2 closed meetings of the policing authority, and we have met about the budget for 2026. This is completed for the coming year, and if it's not already completed, as last year, there's an increase which has been approved, and for this year, there's a 12% increase, which is invested in our CRPA, and the municipalities' efforts, Review and Moncton, have contributed to ensure that we have even more data to ensure that we're properly using public money. As we make important investments in policing services, we're also ensuring that we put them and spend them in the best possible way. Thank you for the employees' work on this matter in the past 6 months, which are fairly intense about this. With the support of Council and your participation, I think we've got the results that we deserve to have in our community. Thank you for that. And we'll start up again in 2026. We've already looking at 2027's budget, but also a reminder that the 17 new officers that we approved are being paid for in this budget. They're going to be coming, and we'll see what this brings to our city as well. Other than this, I simply also wanted to wish everyone a happy holidays, have a great time. And with the activities that were launched in December, congratulations for that. It's lovely to see this, the fire and the skating around the ice circle. So even at one point, we might have a problem of too many people on the ice. We're going to have to start thinking about the safety of things, but for the time being, it's quite enjoyable. I also wanted to particularly thank the employees who are going to be working over the holidays in order to ensure that we can continue using our municipal services. Sometimes we forget that we have these people who allow us to have usable trails, ice services that are usable. So thank you to those employees who will ensure these municipal services over the holidays for residents. And happy 2026. Councillor Lantagne. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It's my turn to thank the employees for the excellent work that they do and that they did in 2025. And we're braced now for 2026. Nothing ever slows down. Thank you to my colleagues around this table. And also want to wish a very happy Christmas and a happy New Year 2026 to all of you and to each and every resident. Thank you. Thank you for your participation at this meeting, and good evening to all of you.